Ladies, Jerry here, Coach Jerry, and welcome to this live. Welcome to this live, and today we're going to talk about what is it that you're doing? What are the three main reasons that you definitely do, and at least one of those that get you in a position to not being able to get rid of your stubborn belly fat. Okay, so welcome to this live. This is not a Zoom training, so obviously whoever is inside the group is available to see it. And I wanted to make this resource available for everybody just simply because it's really something that I feel like is misunderstood. And again, right now I'm just checking whether or not this thing is live inside the group. And we are. Perfect. So as we move forward, today we're going to talk about what are the three main reasons, at least there are at least three. I want to keep it to three because obviously there should be some other things in there, but specifically at least these three are the major one. And before we start, I want to welcome everybody. And I see here I'm on this software which is called StreamYard that stream directly inside the group. So if you're here and watching live, just comment below live on the comments so I see exactly who is here. And obviously you might have question at the end. And then if you check a replay, just comment replay. There are this tab inside the group. The one it says replay, the other one it says live on the topics. Therefore, if you have that, you might be able just to check that, on the hashtag, you might be able to find this video again in case that you don't find it before. Now, again, I want to start off this by explaining exactly what exactly is belly fat and why specifically you get to develop this belly fat, right? And again, the first thing, everybody wants really to understand how do we get rid of belly fat without asking the most important question. How is it that you develop belly fat in the first place? And usually the short answer to that is that you get into that position from extremes things that you do. And usually it has to do with you doing extreme lifestyle or life choices. And again, by going from not really healthy lifestyle usually, and that creates this idea that you have to do something really extreme to get rid of that. Okay, and usually it's because you get to do either too much or too little, meaning like too little in a sense that there is this poor choices at times. If you're one of those, that might be you. Like you can actually comment below and says me that you don't get to work out a few times a week. You don't get to walk as much as you should walk. You don't get to make the right choices. Like you mess up with your diet a little bit. And as a result, you then go into a diet or a restriction type of behavior, or you do too much, right? Too much workouts, too much, output, or too much restriction of food. And as a result, your body shuts down or shuts back at you. It fights back at you. And obviously it's almost like it fights back for evolutionary purposes, right? Meaning like your body doesn't want you to starve, and your body doesn't know what you're trying to do, that you want to get rid of the fat. And then it sets up a compensating mechanism. And as sets up compensating mechanism, then it's almost like it fights back, creating symptoms such as too much hunger, not sleeping well, low energy levels. And as a result, it's not easy to get out of this situation, right? And the first thing that I want to talk when it comes to belly fat is like the belly fat, right, or any sort of inflammatory fat that you see. It's really a pictures of the actions that you took either in the past couple of months or maybe in the past couple of years. Is a summation of, it's a sum of the actions, right? But now, whatever the situation is created, this inflammatory situation, it's really a almost like vicious cycle that you cannot get out of, because it's difficult, because while you get exposed to all these symptoms, low energy, bad sleep, low energy, and like high cravings, it's so hard for you to be able to take the right decisions, right? And this is almost like a vicious cycle. So as we start diving into that, the next thing I want to talk about is there are really at least three major component that doesn't really allow you to ever get through this vicious cycle. But it's important you understand what really is belly fat, or why do you really store the fat, in the midsection? Because if you're watching, you probably, maybe like if you are a younger woman watching, and you probably say, or if you remember how you were, for example, on your 20s, you probably saw you saw your fat get stored more on the lower side of the body, right? And then as you age, you see, oh my God, what's happening right now? Like my fat is like migrating. It's almost like it's migrating to the midsection, right? And obviously there is a science to that. And the science is that there are lipoprotein, which is called lipase lipoproteins, which is basically lipoproteins which with time, there are they release fat, and obviously the hormonal change get you to store more fat in the midsection, right? And obviously the fats, like as there are more receptor on the midsection, which is beta receptor, compared to alpha receptors, that are much more resistant to fat loss. And again, not fat loss in a sense that you actually burning out the fat, but the fat is no longer released that quickly, right? So if you think about that part, right, and then you think about the component that creates belly fat in general is chronic stress or chronic inflammation, which we talked about before, and then you take the summation of, and let me see if I can actually find that slide, which was actually pretty cool. The same slide that we have, the belly fat one. Let's see if I can. Would like to find that one. Let's see if I can find that one here real quick. That shows the visceral fat and okay. Okay, let me share the screen real quick. It's gonna be fun. So if you see here, there is the visceral fat is inside the organs. Again, obviously is part of what we just said before, chronic inflammation, and the subcutaneous fat, which is the one that you would have here on front. This like that basically covers your abdominal, and there is also less blood flow inside that particular area. That means that if you sum that on the inflammation, which is basically one of the reasons why you develop belly fat, and the the fact that there is actual substrate of fat like on top of your abdominal, this is why it's so hard to get to see your abdominal. Now, what are the three main causes, though? Meaning, like, what? Not the three main causes, the three main kind of like factors that inhibits you from actually seeing your abdominal. It boils down to one specifically, which we'll probably put an umbrella on top and we'll say, okay, it boils down to stress. Okay. Now, but if I made like a video today and talk, okay, it boils down to stress, I know already what you're gonna say. You're gonna say, cool, I know I'm stressed. What should I do now? And that's a pretty good assessment to do, because again, stress is something that is part of everybody's life. But when I'm talking about stress, I'm not talking about us being stressed, really. I'm talking about stress, a stressor that impacts the second problem, which is basically sleep, right? And we know that if we don't control sleep, then hunger is impacted, and then there is cravings is impacted, energy is impacted, and again, it comes down to evolutionary purposes. If you get to diet too much, or if you restrict food too much, then your sleep is impacted. And obviously the third one, which is the one that you can definitely improve, right? And I'm one that I'm actually doing this video for that, because like you need to first understand it, but secondly, you need to do something about it. It's really the down regulation of your metabolism. And the down regulation of your metabolism is created from you being able to, or better say, doing again, too much of something, too much workout, too much dieting, too much restriction, or too little of something, overeating, indulging into crazy behaviors such as drinking too much alcohol or drinking too much food, restricting during the week and binging. That's also another inflammatory obviously component, because like you do go from you're telling your body you're gonna eat a little bit and then like give like a huge amount of calorie which your body cannot process, and amount of macro which we never really binge on broccoli. We always binge on stuff like either ice cream or pizza or desserts, alcohol, what you do after you hit the alcohol, you get maybe burgers. Again, when you do too much or too little, there is an inflammatory, right? And then there is this down regulation of your metabolism, which basically is that, as I'm sharing the next slide, just to make you understand and give you some context here, it's important for you to where is it? It's important to understand that when we go inside here, the group, and this is a disaster today with this sharing thing. Let me just find the group one more time. Okay, so if we go down and check belly fat in general, and I'm trying to find a post that I made a few weeks ago or like a week ago that everybody got so excited about, and you probably are here for that. If we look at this picture now, and we see all these ladies here, when we're talking about belly fat and we're talking about down regulation, the important part that you need to understand that I would like this to be clear for you, and I just want to, again, I'm just checking if this is really now being shared. So if you check all these pictures and you look at the fact that obviously they got much skinnier and they got much more defined, I need you to understand that some is clear that they lost the belly fat, but I need you also to understand that it is not a spot reduction type of thing. This is not a fact that they reduced their just the belly fat. They reduced their total calorie, their total body fat percentage. Okay, now this might be logical for some people, and it might be less logical for other people. Now, if I share here in a second the training here, I would like to show you how and why this is happening. Like how were they able to finally get their body to react like that? Because we said before that if you don't fix, if you are down regulated, right, and you stay in this model of eating less and exercising more, and you keep creating restriction, which basically the down regulation comes from your restriction, which is basically saying that if you are a person that can hit 2,000 or 2,500 calories, right, and in order for you to lose weight, and obviously we know that diet work all the time, they should work all the time, and if you eat 300 to 500 calories less in a day, you are set to lose 0.5 to 0.7 kilo in a span of probably 10 days, right? And if that doesn't happen, it means that there is a problem. And the problem is that your behavior with dieting isn't like 500 calorie. When you're talking about vegetarian diet, when you're talking about keto, when you're talking about restricting, when you're talking about shakes diet, you create a deficit of not 500 but 1,000 calorie, right? And what happens is that your normal 2,500 calorie maintenance goes down, creeps down to 1,200 calories. So your body is down regulating right now, and it creates all this compensation, such as lack of sleep, lack of energy, right? And if you sleep less, you know that you're not going to be having energy, you're going to be more hungry, you're going to make the wrong choices. And if you keep that, and obviously then there is compensation in your body that says, okay, I have thyroid, I start seeing stuff that, insulin, my adrenal, my cortisol, my thyroid, all this is messed up. And some of you see this thing on a lab. Some of you can observe this, like my thyroid isn't working well anymore. I have insulin resistance, right? And obviously that's the truth because it shows on the lab. But the question you fail to realize, why is it that it's happening? Not out of magic, not out of genetics, not out because the life is unfair. You probably got there. You probably did some choices in the past that got you there. And one of the things that I'm assuming, that I'm arguing, is that you down-regulating your body so much that at this point, in order for you to create this deficit, like it's so short that you need to either eat even less or work out even more. to create the deficit, right? And obviously it's not sustainable, right? And so what happens, like I said before, is that as you understand probably where I'm going with this, if you don't know, like if you don't know what to do in that particular situation and you say, I have belly fat, the problem is that it's not really about the belly fat, but it's about the fact that you cannot even burn fat in general. Like you cannot get your body to actually be able to regulate itself again. So in order for you to do that, in order for you to be able to do that, you need at this point to upregulate your body. Like you need to get this thing to go higher, right? You need to get your body in a condition to burn fat again. You need to recreate this model right here so that obviously getting a sustainable calorie deficit works still. But the problem is that if you cannot do that effectively, right? If you cannot do that effectively, what happens? Because we established before that if you have belly fat and you cannot, and you start getting inflammations, and then when you get inflammation, then you get water retention, then you get, then obviously you get more cravings, then you start getting insulin resistance, and then you start having issues. And as you get insulin resistant, then it's more hard. Is almost like living with a brake on, and you cannot lose weight effectively. So how do you get to lose weight like they did? How do you get to make this happen? By the way, most of them in this period of time, in the holidays, right? It's basically understanding and really working on getting your body ready to lose weight again. Okay, and again, so that the real question comes from today is that to get rid of the belly fat. And the good news is that unlike how many people like how much many people telling you is your genetics, you need to stay that way, you're aging, this is what eventually is going to happen, there is no way for you to even do it. The good part is that obviously that what you're hearing is totally false. Like you can do it, and you can do it in a reasonable amount of time. Now, the more you dieted in the past, the longer it's going to take. The more the mess that you have created, the longer it's going to take. This I'm not going to lie to you. But the good news is that you are in control of at least one thing, which is basically your exercise, your movement, and your nutrition. When you control those things, the second thing comes in place usually, and that's sleep. When you start controlling sleep, that obviously that improves the whole thing. But the real win here that we're looking at today, or the real question is not how am I going to get rid of my belly fat, but how am I going to upregulate my body to be able to start burning fat again effectively? How am I going to create my metabolism, or how am I going to get my metabolism to the position of me being able to really metabolize things perfectly again or effectively? And I'm going to be able to do that. The way that happens is by you being able to do a process that is called metabolic recovery. Okay. Now, this process normally is a very convoluted process. Okay. What I did here, I created a 21 days action plan, which basically tells you, I boiled down to a very simple and easy to consume process. I basically created an action plan, an action step, which basically you can learn everything in 21 days. And obviously, this is the first time that I did it. I spent most of my weekend creating that stuff. Is because I said, I know that most of the people really want to lose belly fat, but they are not understanding why they created the belly fat and what it takes for you to actually get your body ready to do that, right? So I thought, I was like, how can I create a resource for everybody for them to be able to get this happen in 21 days? Because again, if you just learn everything in 21 days, then it's all a matter of optimization and getting stuff better. So if you understand, if first and foremost, if that's you that you are watching and you say, yeah, this is actually my situation, what I'd like you to do here, I would like you to comment down below metabolic recovery. Okay, it's metabolic recovery, and that's basically gonna give me the input to send you out this resource which I've created, which basically is a metabolic recovery action plan or action step, which in an average of 21 days, most of the people, you can actually learn everything you need to learn to start recovering your metabolism, okay, or restoring your metabolism. Is a very convoluted process, and again, it's something that requires a lot of patience, but yet in a very short time, you will learn most of the things that you need in order for you to make this happen. Understand that without that, you don't have the necessary information to understand why you even develop belly fat, but especially you won't have the necessary information and creating the continuity you need to not only get rid of the belly fat, but to create to create a situational thing into your body to be able to effectively lose weight and keep it off for good. Okay, so if you're really watching and you say, yeah, that's me, you want to be commenting metabolic recovery, I'm going to send you over that resource, and from there you're going to be able to really access the necessary information that is going to allow your body to get ready to lose the fat and obviously eventually to get rid of the stubborn belly fat. Hopefully this was interesting. Coach Jerry here, I'm clocking out. Let me know if you have any question, or type your question if you have. I'm going to get back at you. And obviously comment metabolic recovery, and I'm going to see you on the other side. Bye-bye.